Okay, that's great. Thanks very much, Phil and the rest. Okay, as Phil says, basically I'll follow on what Marian has just talked about, but I'll look at it from the point of view of offensive security, that's ethical hacking, and what I'm currently doing that for my module as time goes by. So just a bit of context, I'll give you a context of why I'm doing that. And I also look about how do we look at assessment wise, how do you make it more bulletproof in terms of AI tools? And I'll give you a case study that I've been currently working on as time goes by. To give you a background, I'm more of an ethical hacker, or what I teach. So when ChatGPT came out, people think that it will allow people to be malware creators within seconds. And that was a worry of the community in cybersecurity. The answer is not true. That's wrong because what ChatGPT is creating is basically not correct always. It basically gives you an output that doesn't make that much sense. So for you to be able to use it to create malware or to do offensive security, you have to know about what you are doing from start. So that's the theory of what's going on and as time goes by. And again, you are all aware by now that GPT-4 was out last night. That came from their report on how they passed GPT-4 and GPT-3 or ChatGPT on different exams and how it performs. So as you can see, ChatGPT is performing actually quite very well in all the exams. But again, that's bring a question. Why do you worry about it in academia? Do we embrace it or do we just ignore it as time goes by? So I think the fact that it's doing well, I think it's to do with how the exams are set. So I think we have to look at how do we set our exam as time goes by. And another one over here is telling you how does it compare in different area of the academia. So you can see over here, it tells you about environmental sciences, in psychology, in US government, in history. So it tells you how ChatGPT or GPT-4 is able to be applied in different area of academia, and how has it been able to answer questions that are set in real-time exam, and how has it performed widely. So that's the concern of the academia at the moment, and most staff members think that maybe it's a no-go area. But I agree with Marian who says that we should embrace it as time goes by. So that's a context set out for you at the moment. So in that regard, how do you make our assessment more authentic? We have three options. Most exams that are happening currently, they are mainly recall of memory. So they allow you to recall what's going on and then give back what you are looking for. So we can either revert to what we used to do before, you go to exams that are pen and paper, written pen and paper at our own scene, or we go to what's called presentations to test the ability of what's going on. And that way we ignore the issue of ChatGPT. Just on that point about on-scene exams, I'm doing another module for another university, not UB, as just one module. My exam was online exam, but I use it as a case study based exam. Interestingly, although probably they have tried to use ChatGPT to get the answers, but the marks score was very low or not that high as I was expecting, because the fact that the exam is tailored to be contextualized with a case study. So it can still work. Number two is to outrun it. So basically, we design assessment that cannot be done by AI tools. Can we do that? Possibly we can, but mostly as AI increases, we cannot do that. So AI is there for us to live with as time goes by. So trying to outrun the system will not really work in many ways. So the only way we can do, in my own opinion, is to embrace it. That's number three. Basically, what we can do, we can apply AI tools, ChatGPT as an example, to allow students to engage in assessment. We can allow them to support assessment processes by asking them to use it, but to be able to fact check what they are finding on ChatGPT. And that will help them to be able to contextualize and do some critical thinking on their own feet as time goes by. Also, it will help them to solidify their knowledge. So what I do in my lecture this morning, actually, I was in a class at 9 o'clock in the morning. I use ChatGPT live in the class. We covered the basic principle of what we are covering, and we try to ask ChatGPT about the same of what we have covered. And ChatGPT end up giving the wrong result, but in a different way. So that way it allows, and we're able to fact check it to see, okay, look, that's what it says to you. How do we verify that in many ways? So it allows them to look at other resources. So basically it pushes them to solidify what they have learned and make it easier for them to understand both the lecture and the assessment at the same time. So if you want to run it, you can use it as measured case study based. So if you give a case study, although they will ask ChatGPT to recall the memory of answer about a topic, but the ChatGPT, unless if they paste the entire scenario onto the system, it will not be able to reflect back to the case study as time goes by. So that way, it allows you over here to require is a conceptualize. Or what I do sometimes, I do a practical work in the lab. And then the questions will be based on that practical work that they have done in the lab. So that way, ChatGPT hasn't seen the practical work that they have done. So it allows them to think on their own feet to give the answer as time goes by. That allows you to provide examples with a real work example as time goes by. And that will allow them to make it assessment to be more authentic at the same time to make it more dynamic in many ways. I apply what's called the KSA framework. So knowledge, skills, and ability. Yeah. So knowledge, yes, we cover some basic principles for them in the lectures. But I asked them, okay, by the way, in this assignment, I want you to use ChatGPT to learn more about that topic or that area of discipline. But doing that, fact check it for me. So if it tells you that's what you're asking for, then try and find a peer review material that either back the idea or refute the idea that ChatGPT tells you about it. So basically, it allows them to compare and contrast different sources at the same time. And when it comes to the issue of coding or exploiting the attack that they are doing, they can still, well, until last week, I think ChatGPT has been able to stop them getting some code now. But they're able to get some code, some sample code to make them solve the problem as time goes by. So how do they apply what they have learned in theory and the code snapshot that they have gotten? How would they apply it in a real system? So just to give a context, we asked them to attack companies under Bug Bounty. Bug Bounty is a website that allows you to hack companies legally within a framework. So they do that again. And the ability over here is how do they apply what they learn from ChatGPT and the lectures, and how do they able to attack the company successfully? So that way, they're able to have a more rounded approach on trying to apply the scenario and make it interesting to solidify their knowledge as time goes by. So doing that, it allows you to check what's going on. The only issue you have over is that, is how far do we get an equilibrium, or how do we check where they are? So we try to avoid them from copying and pasting from ChatGPT. That's number one step, because that's a no-go area. For two reasons: it's an offense in the academic area. Also, ChatGPT gives you wrong answers mostly. Yeah. Again, over here, maybe it's okay for them to ask some key terms or references from ChatGPT and try to draft their own work as time goes by. Or if they do that, they can be able to not only draft it, but give it to ChatGPT to optimize it for them. And over here, it's allowed them to critically evaluate what ChatGPT is giving them as time goes by. But I'm going to the extreme over here for them to give me an authentic piece. So they combine those two together, and that gives me an assessment that is more authentic and that is more real for them as time goes by. Yeah. So doing that, going to what Phil was saying earlier on about students, actually the feedback from students so far, they enjoy doing that. The fact that they learn more about it, and the class end up talking about more about what's going on. Actually, one of my students got a placement because they are using ChatGPT for their pen testing. So basically, it shows that they applied over. So in my own case, they enjoy doing that, and it makes it more lively for them as time goes by. So that's over here. So it stopped them from academic offenses over here, but it makes them come back over here to be able to learn more, be more rounded as time goes by. So that's my case study. So basically what I did over here is pen testing, ethical hacking. I said, okay, look, to learn about it, by all means, I give you the basic skills in my sessions. I want you to use ChatGPT to expand your knowledge about that, and to find some sample coding, find some step-by-step guide on doing attacks, and try to do it yourself. So they take it from there, what we have learned over here, they spread it over here as time goes by, and then there is a bug bounty website, and start a company from there, and apply those two together into attacking the company. But again, how do you prove that they have done that properly? I ask them to do a Pishakusha presentation. Basically, it means that they'll give me 20 pictures or 20 screenshots, and each screenshot will have 20 seconds narration to tell me what have they learned about it. What was it showing me about it? Yeah. So although they can do this over here, they can find a way to bypass things that not knowing what giving me authentic over here. But this one over here allows me to check that. Have they really understand what they have done or not? Have they paid someone to do it for them or not? So basically, this one over here is force them to give me 20 second each of 20 slides of the entire assignments. So that way, I'm able to verify that they have been able to apply the framework properly, and they're able to critically analyze what they have learned and tell me what they have learned as time goes by. So that means the piece that I get from them is authentic, that comes from them as time goes by. So what are the limitations? Well, ChatGPT is okay, it's quite good, but still it's unreliable. That's my proof of concept. That's what I'm proving to them. Yeah, I also believe that so far, if you apply the KSA framework or whatever framework you apply for, you'll be able to have a more innovative assessment and allow students to learn more from just you avoiding ChatGPT. So for me, it's a tool that enhances not even my own learning, but my students as well as time goes by. So thank you very much. And that's me. If you have any question for me, that's fine. If not, that's my Twitter handle. Tweet me, I'll be able to respond back to you.
Thank you so much. Another great talk. And you preempted one of my questions when you were saying about the students giving you the great feedback. It's always nice to have that, isn't it? I was just wondering, did you kind of ask your students for feedback, or were they kind of just actively coming to you to say that they were enjoying it?
Actively. So what I do, in the lecture, normally I give them a Mentimeter a platform. I find it out in the lecture at the beginning. I let it go in live for the whole lecture, and then I ask them to put comment for me or whatever they want to put comment for me. So it's basically just trying to give them for me. Also in the lab session, they just come to me also. Oh, by the way, I like what you are doing. I like what is over here. Also, they respond back to my Twitters and LinkedIn feed and tell me what's going about their course as time goes by.
Great stuff. And I love the idea of using the Pecha presentations as well. I think that's a great way, because it's, as you say, the 20 seconds for each slide is, I think it's probably quite nice for the students because they don't have to talk too much, so they can kind of just think it keeps it short, keeps it snappy, but makes them get the key information across. Did you get any feedback from students on that? Did you find that they enjoyed that, or did they find it stressful? Or
well, some of them interested in this say that they will use AI to do it for them, not themselves. So they're trying to use AI to do the presentation for them. So basically, they try to bypass my own policy in many ways. But most of them enjoy it. So I asked them, okay, if you're doing it, I want you to appear on the screen as well. I want to see you on the screen as well. But most of them enjoy doing that. But some of them think that why 20 seconds? They think that it's too short.
Okay.
But the key for me is to summarize things for me. I want to get the key points from them. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's because it forces them to really think about what that key point is, doesn't it? It's rather than kind of not waffling, because it's students have lots to say, but I think it forces their hand almost, and it's quite a nice way of actually checking what they're understanding, what their key points of understanding are. I think that's a good message there. So thank you so much. I'm not sure if we have any questions in the chat, but I think we've now reached time anyway.
Thank you very much.
So thank you so much for joining us. Another great presentation. Thank you.